All right, let's look into what Israel's been doing. First story I wanted to bring up, and the thing that actually brought this back to my attention, is there's a Palestinian journalist, um, Mujahid Habib. I'm going to pronounce that horribly. Bin Mufleh, who was detained for 14 months with Israel and had to go through emergency surgery. You can see the before and after pictures here on the screen. Before, he looks like just a normal dude, and afterwards, he actually had to have part of his skull removed, and he looks like a Holocaust. I mean, he went from a normal, healthy guy to being just completely gaunt and looks like kind of a skeleton. So there's an interview from him that we're going to look at in just a minute here. But this rolls right into my next piece, which is that 129 journalists have been killed in 2025, and Israel's responsible for two-thirds of those deaths. Looking at the key findings, so the main thing is none of these have been investigated. The majority of them are now drone strikes, which is a huge upswing from 2023, and the IDF committed two-thirds of them. The highest amount than any other government since the CPJ, which is the um, Committee for Protecting Journalists, has started doing their research back in 1982. Um, Honestly, there's not much more to say than this. Like, they're supposed to be the most moral army, and they're killing more journalists than anyone. Why would you kill journalists if you don't want people to see what you're doing in Gaza? Obviously, you want to kill the eyes and ears of people that can report on the crimes that you're committing. So naturally, they did this. If you remember back when the war on Gaza started, hard to even call it a war, when the genocide started, that they deliberately targeted journalists with an operation called, I believe it was Daddy's Home. No, this isn't the one I'm thinking of. The one I'm thinking of, basically, they were locating journalists, watching them, waiting for them to come home, and then bombing their residential homes to kill the journalists and their families, and to send a message that if you do journalism on Israel from a pro-Palestinian side, where you're looking at the genocide, that they're going to kill you and they're going to kill your whole family. So they're following through with that theme, still happening in 2028, and the images are obviously just very jarring. So let's look at an interview. This is something I wanted to relate back to, actually. So Shireen Abdul Akli was a journalist, for an American journalist, for Al Jazeera, and she was killed by a sniper back in 2023, 2022. Very famous journalist, had worked for 25 years covering the apartheid state, and she was shot by a sniper with a big blue press badge on her chest and a press helmet, and got killed by being shot in the neck. So anybody telling you this isn't an intentional campaign is either misinformed or lying, because how a sniper through a scope is not going to see the giant press credentials on somebody before shooting them is insane. But all that being said, let's look at the interview with the journalist.
Mujahid Bani Mifleh says he was arrested for being a Palestinian journalist. He says what he witnessed inside Israeli jails only made him more adamant to tell the stories. With his voice breaking, he says Israeli prisons are becoming graveyards and that the world needs to know what it means to be hungry and to long for a sip of water. Israeli forces detained Mujahid without charge. He spent 6 months behind bars. 2 days after his release in January, he complained of a headache and fell into a coma. He regained consciousness just days ago and is still under medical supervision. Mujahid says as a journalist, he was able to get other prisoners' stories, yet what he endured was beyond anything he's ever heard. He says Israeli detention system is designed to break the prisoners' souls long before it breaks their bodies.
I began recalling and speaking about what I went through inside the prisons: starvation, humiliation and qahr. It was simply too much to process.
Qahr is a complex word in Arabic that does not have an English translation. It's a set of emotions that includes injustice, oppression, racism, and dehumanization. We visited Mujahid in hospital in January. He was out of prison, but his story was far from over. He was unconscious for more than 4 months. His doctors confirmed he had suffered a brain hemorrhage. Across the occupied West Bank, many relief.
So for anybody curious, that brain hemorrhage is why his skull is concaved there, because they actually had to remove part of his skull to relieve the hemorrhaging. Not a doctor, but they had to do it to basically save his life because he was in such dire straits after being held by.
Prisoners go straight from Israeli prisons to hospital wards. And beyond the visible wounds, there are those that doctors say could require years, if not a lifetime, of rehabilitation. This is Abdullah Shatat, a Palestinian activist held under Israel's so-called administrative detention for 32 months. No charge, no trial. This is Abdullah before his arrest.
You're going to see a theme again and again. No charge, no trial. It's just like Guantanamo Bay. They're being held on nothing and tortured because they reported poorly on Israel, and they didn't like that. And I should say not just poorly, but accurately.
And this is him now. He's lost 50 kilograms.
I can barely recognize my own son, Ezzedine. I'm not joking or exaggerating. I keep calling his name just to make sure it's really him.
For many of these prisoners, a full meal, a pain-free breath, a beloved face are blessings they were deprived of. Mujahid wants to recover, but more than that, he wants to return to work. Not just to report on what Palestinian prisoners endure in Israeli detention, but to follow their journey out, to document the long, quiet struggle to reclaim what captivity took from them. Nida Ibrahim, Al Jazeera, occupied West Bank, Palestine.
Wait, you don't write anything down after?
Obviously, horrendous, but very par for the course for what's been going on in this war. There's really nothing new in here that we've seen before. But if you're curious about, a lot of liberals, they'll say, this is just Benjamin Netanyahu. This is just a rogue individual going out and doing this. Well, if you take polls of people in Israel, they've been so propagandized to, it's not just Benjamin Netanyahu. He's become more popular by doing this genocide. It's a problem with the state of Israel itself being an ethno-state and wanting to perpetuate Greater Israel. The Third Temple movement, for those who haven't heard of it, is people who want to make a temple on the Mount, which is part of a doomsday prediction in the Bible. I don't remember what the name of is, but it'll say during this ABC segment. But they essentially want to destroy one of the largest Muslim monuments to their religion and replace it with a temple, partially to destroy their heritage, destroy their culture, and destroy their religion, and partly to fulfill a prophecy that they've had through their religion. So if you think that they aren't religious zealots, I don't know what to tell you, because that's insane at this point. And so let's dive into the ABC article here.
Hey, what you gonna do? What you gonna do? I'm gonna
in the heart of the Holy Land.
This is an example of the kind of intimidation that they're talking about.
The chaos started early.
And we are still hours out yet from the march. And
Where are you from? From the march. Where are you from? Hello. What's his mind? Blah blah blah.
Let him speak. Let him speak. Let him speak. Let him speak.
It is opened today, June 7, 1967, after the Israeli troops had driven out of the new quarter of Jerusalem into the previously Jordanian-held old city of Jerusalem, which now lies clear on the other side of that gate.
This is Jerusalem Day.
So that's also a checkpoint that they had set up, checkpoints that persisted through October 7th, through the apartheid state that people have been talking about for quite a while, where Palestinians didn't have freedom of movement. They couldn't just come and go as they pleased. They had to have special plates, special paperwork, and they weren't treated as proper Israeli citizens. They were treated as second-class citizens, which is also why Israel controlled their water and power through that time, because they treated them as a subclass within the Israeli state.
When Israelis mark their victory in the 1967 war, their seizure of the Western Wall and of East Jerusalem, international law envisions these streets as the capital of a Palestinian state. But those marching don't see it as an occupation. They've come to celebrate what they believe is Jewish ownership of the whole of this ancient city. What's striking is that these young people, many of whom have come from settlements on the West Bank, do not fear the police here. They come from the powerful settler movement, once a fringe extreme in Israeli public life. The ultra-nationalists are now increasingly influential. We meet Atara, who moved here with her parents from Texas 5 years ago.
And tell me about your two flags.
So this is a flag of the third temple, which we want to build, hopefully here on the Temple Mount.
Many people are holding the same flag. The Third Temple movement wants to demolish Al-Aqsa, the third holiest place for Muslims, and build a Jewish temple on the site. We're quickly surrounded by demonstrators.
What are they trying to do?
They want to put stickers.
And what do the stickers say?
Kahana was right.
They idolize Meir Kahane, a far-right American rabbi who moved to Israel and was convicted of multiple acts of terror. He's considered a founding father of the ultra-nationalist movement.
So literally just supporting terrorism imported from the West, because a lot of settlers are pushed over doing basically journeys from the U.S. to Israel at the behest of the Israeli government and the dime of these sometimes.
So what would you do to the Palestinians living here?
Here, like in the old city, leave or we'll kill you.
What would you do?
I think
Leave or we'll kill you. I don't know how they can say it more clearly that they're doing a genocide. We took your land, you leave, or we'll kill you. This is exactly what happened to the Jews during World War II. Anybody who doesn't like that analogy can suck it, because it's very apparent right now. What we saw on October 7th, October 8th was essentially the Warsaw Ghetto uprising during an apartheid state. Anybody who thinks they didn't have a right to try and defend themselves from that at this point, with the genocide going on, is insane.
Islam is cancer, and you don't transfer cancer to another patient. That's not moral. You have to destroy.
Islam is cancer. You have to destroy it. You have to. She would literally kill every. She would literally kill every Islamic person if she could, is what she's saying.
Cancer.
And what does destroy look like for you?
To either kill or re-educate all Muslims.
This man, Itamar
Kill or re-educate, just like the Jews are in.
Ben-Gvir from the extreme right makes similarly shocking statements. Once convicted for supporting far-right terrorist organizations, he's now the Israeli government's national security minister. And he started Jerusalem Day by unfurling the...
Ben-Gvir, by the way, the guy who said nukes were not off the table in Gaza, just nuking a civilian population, is not off the table for their security minister.
Israeli colours at Al-Aqsa. Israeli police describe isolated pockets of violence at the march. The Christian quarter of the old city was set upon by a group of Jewish demonstrators.
One thing I would say is the isolated pockets of violence, they're only counting the violence that like Palestinian protesters would do to defend themselves. They would never count the violence of the settlers during these protests, because they're pro them doing this. They're pro them killing the Palestinians. So when you hear about those violence, that's not when they take over a home and kill the occupants or forcibly remove them. That's only when those people fight back.
These streets should be absolutely packed with people. It's very strange being in the Jerusalem Old City and it being completely deserted. There should be shoppers, shopkeepers, religious pilgrims, and yet they can't be here and they haven't been able to be here on any of the Jerusalem days because it is quite simply too dangerous for them. Now, we're told the vast majority of those marking this day, Jews across Jerusalem, are peaceful, but the ones who come here, the settler activists, they are bent on chaos. And those we speak to here say it's got worse and worse every year. The settler movement has been empowered. It is now at the heart of the Netanyahu government. More settlements have been greenlit in just the last year than were greenlit over the last 20 years. And Palestinians in this old city do not feel safe.
While many refused to engage with us, some, mostly American demonstrators, did agree to speak.
The uptick in settler violence on the West Bank is out of control. You must agree with that.
First of all, I'm not too into that, but I kind of do disagree. But, yeah.
And I mean, we were just over there. The level of intimidation by a lot of young, and this is why I was interested to talk to you, because you don't seem to want to fight, which is great.
I don't think that there's any point in violence.
Well, a lot of your friends here do seem to think there's a point in violence.
I might disagree with them.
Oh, yeah, you just stand in a crowd of people trying to fight journalists, just trying to produce a piece that is correct about the positions that they held, but they hate their positions being exposed, because the greatest exposure for bad ideas is sunlight. So they obviously don't want it getting out. They don't want reporting on it. That's why they kill reporters, as we were just talking about. And to stand there and pretend like you're the good guy when you're surrounded by people that are committing violence is insane. It's like when you go to a far right rally in the U.S. When they did that rally that killed Heather Heyer, I think it was, to pretend like there were good people on both sides when the other side was literal torch-carrying Nazis who wanted to commit violence. If you found one of them that said, "Oh, no, I don't want to commit violence. I don't think that's a good thing," that doesn't mean they're a good person. They're still aligning themselves with the violence. They just don't want to get their hands dirty. This guy is just basically willing to let everyone else do the killing and the violence for him and reap all the benefits of it. Which is why he moved over there from the U.S., honestly.
You could just walk along right over here.
Most of the people are not
see a bunch of signs where Jews were killed, right? And those were killed by Arabs.
Yeah, I can show you.
Now you have one day that's Yom Yerushalayim, Flag Day for the Jews, so we come here to show this is our land, this is our city.
The basis of all this is that you're not from here. You came here from America, trying to displace people who were from here.
First of all, I'm not trying to displace nobody, and second of all, this is my country.
He's part of the settler program. He literally came to settle in homes of people who already lived there. He absolutely came to displace people. That's literally the point of the movement that he's marching at.
The Jew, God gave it to me.
Shaheen owns a kebab shop that he can't open today.
Is it every year it happens? But
no, it's every year more and more and more.
We're talking to you now, and you've got a group walking down who are trying to stop us from being able to talk to you, I think. That's what they're doing. They're shouting so we can stop our interview.
We let them pass and Shaheen finishes his cigarette.
What do you feel when you see them walking?
It's pain for me. Yeah. It's pain for me. I want to live, you want to live, he wants to live, everybody wants to live.
In another corner of the city, a man watches from his window.
I asked this man how many people are inside. He said there are 7 of them in the house. He said he feels safe there, but he does not feel safe out in the street. He described to us being spat on by a young activist out in the street, and that the IDF saw it happen and that they reprimanded those young boys.
But there are Jews here to protect Palestinians. Standing together works to foster understanding between Israelis and Palestinians.
They didn't do anything.
Stand with our bodies against the settler violence here against the Palestinian community of Eastern Jerusalem, and we will not let this violent day affect the population here. And we're ready to get hit. We don't want them to get hit. This is our responsibility as Jews.
But you're Jewish.
Yeah.
It's your day too.
No.
No, you don't feel that way.
It's a day of occupation. I think that justice must come to all people in this land, and
I mean, it's guys like this that give me hope, man. Like, he's out there literally putting himself on the line for other people to absolutely no benefit himself. He could easily hide behind his identity in Israel to reap the benefits of their occupation, and he chooses not to.
The occupation cannot persist.
Do you think that's a majority view in Israel?
It will be.
Standing Together is a movement built on the hope of coexistence. Attitudes across Israel to a two-state solution have hardened, especially since October 7th and the devastation in Gaza. These activists are
Remember that 80% of the buildings in Gaza right now are demolished.
willing to put their own lives on the line for the promise of a different kind of Israel.
And they started shouting now because they know that we're trying to speak and they're trying to drown it out. I mean, what do you feel as an Israeli when you see this?
Palestinians here are my brothers and sisters, and I will stand with them.
We need to publicly apologize.
I mean, that's what we're dealing with. There's not much ambiguity in it. It's a popular position in the U.S. to not be supporting Israel, obviously, because why would we be giving money to these monsters? But you know, even within Israel, it's coming. Thank you so much for watching my video. It'd be great if you could leave me a like, subscribe, maybe a comment, and you should be seeing a video pop up anywhere on screen right now that you can click on to get some more content. Thank you again. Have a great day.